Hi, and welcome to Breakfast with Max. I'm Max, and this is the first meal of your day or your first meal after awakening. As you can see, I'm not in the same spot I've used to be. I'm in another place, obviously. I'm in my in the village where I was born. And as I had to come here for family matters, which is something that in this day and age is very seldom that I do, well, I thought, why not do something from here? And well, with obviously, I don't have a stick, I don't have the camera, so I'm doing it with my smartphone, which is anyway. So yeah. I'm outside and doing this, and you know from what I've been saying, what everyone is saying, that this is actually my creation. So what you are going to see here, you're going to see through me. So it will be a co-creation, but it will be me sending you through this video the vibration of this place as I interpret it, as it goes through me, as I see it, as I create it, actually. Because one of the things that is really important to understand is that what you see, it's not what is there, but is what you create with, which means that you create it inside of you. So it's not outside there, it's inside of you. And you have the perception of seeing it when in fact it comes from here. What you see, the sound you hear, it's not something that is outside, it's not something that you hear through your ears, it's something that your ears create, if you want to put that way. So things are really quite different from what your perception is, but you know that your perception, what you see there, it's mostly what your ego needing it to be outside of you, because everything that is outside of you, it's your ego. As you can see, there is a street there, so you will see cars go through, and bicycles. You will hear maybe trains, because there is the train line just down there, and you can maybe hear, I don't know, I try to make you see this, but it's not the right spot to see everything. There is the highway just against the mountain there. So in this place you always have you always hear the highway, because the mountain is sending back. And as I just was saying, this is your creation. My creation is what I hear, because I create it. But well, so why am I in this moment, in this spot? Well, because there is something here. I think it was important for me to come here, and I try to film it in the best way, because I have the sun that is just back there, so that with the camera it's not the best spot at the moment, but let me try. So this is, I think, let me try. What is this? This is the place I was born. So this is the hospital where I came to life, or where my physical body was born. And this is the situation it has now. You can see the blue building there that didn't exist in 1975. What remains from that time is the old building there, the gray building. All other things have been taken away because Where? Because what can I say? Politics decided it. Yeah. Because change is the only constant in the universe except for the first four laws. And what does the first four laws say? You exist, I exist, here now. Here and now. So in the here and now, that building is not the same way it was in 1975 when I was born. Why? Because change is the only constant in the universe. And as here now is not then, the building is different. It's created different, it looks like different. So it's a new moment, it's another moment. The building doesn't have to be the same as it was in 1975. And so it's not. So, this could be going through memory lane, and I know that I'm moving, it's a different spot, so it's completely a new experience filming this way with my phone. But well, for once, the good thing is that I have the sun there, our friend's sun, and so I have a good light on my face, so you can see my beauty for once. Okay. My shining beauty. Well, why I decided to do this here. So, okay, just a second. So, I've changed my position so that I should have less cars. They're still behind me, but a little bit farther from me. But I'm closer to the train, so but there are less trains passing here because this was the main connection within North Europe and South Europe. So there were a lot of train passing here. Now that they have created the new Gotthard tunnel, which is 52 or 56 kilometer long, trains don't pass here anymore. They go directly in the mountain. Actually, the mountain in the other direction, but and they come out southern than here. So this place now has been deserted by quite everything. So there are mostly only old people living here, or the younger generation that is still living here. They have a job in the southern part of the area. Anyway, so I was saying, why did I want to do this here, from here, and show my the place, this body that I'm in that I choose as my body was born, is to go through the concept. And this is something that also you can learn if you read the Seth material. Which is, I think I have said enough. I really invite anyone to read in order to learn what Seth, this beings have given us, because Seth is not a being, as you can understand. When we go in, when we ascend to our next dimensions, individuality changes. It's not the same as it is in the dimension, so that beings that speak to us from those dimensions are not what we perceive them to be, because they are not individuum. They have individualized conscious, but they are not individuum as we are. So Seth, really very interesting. Really go and read it, because you will learn a lot of things. So I was saying, I was born here, and this body was born here. Now, the concept of knowing whether or not my conscious was already into this body or not, that I don't know. But according to what Seth says, your consciousness joins your body while you're still in the womb, or thereafter, in between you were born and the first months of your life. That's when it happens. It doesn't have to happen before you were born or whilst the fetus is forming. No, it happens when it has to happen, when you decide to go there. But you have already decided that that will be your body, but you're not in a hurry to be into there. So it happens when it happens, but it doesn't happen for all of us in the same moment of development. So I joined this body here, but it's not this body that you see. It's not, because it was a boy, a little newborn. So it was another moment. Simply putting that, I'm not the same person as I was when I was born, because it was another moment. Every moment you are a new person, and the person you were in another moment, you will never be that person again, because, well, it's already a moment you have experienced. So why should you be the same person as you have been in another moment? Anyway, let me just try this more comfortable for me. So I hope I'm explaining this in a good way, because obviously one thing that is very frustrating maybe at moments is that we don't have the right words to express this concept. These concepts are outside from human scope. So that, for instance, when we say you are what a creator God, well, the concept of God you have is the concept that you find in religious book, mainly. But those concepts are not the real God. I mean, God is absolute. But, well, we said you are God, you are a creator, you are God. So that's from the beginning, from just to begin with. It's a sign that what you have been told is a God, it's not really a God, because you are. So that is already it. But but also, what is important to understand is that all of that, that way of seeing things, of perceiving, of having an idea, it's also what your it goes through your ego. So you understand God as being a being superior to you, that may or may not be a very treacherous God, because he punishes you and sends you to hell if you're not a certain way, or if you don't behave in a certain way. Or you can see God as, well, watching over everything that is created, or you can see God, many other descriptions. But what I'm trying to say is that all those descriptions, or those ways to see God, you hear, that's God. I don't know if you can hear, but there is the church calling. Anyway, it must be 10 o'clock. So that in fact we have a description for this for these things, as we have a description for God that doesn't give us the reality about that. We are completely in the dark as to perceive what that is, so we don't have the words to describe it. But we don't have the words to describe ourselves either, because we try to describe ourselves from the outside and never from the inside. As I said before, everything that we create comes from our inside. You create your reality so that your reality can come from only one place, which is inside of you. That's why it's so frustrating, is that we describe things like gods, like dimensions, like ascension, like all these things, and we don't know what we are talking about because we have no idea exactly of what that is. Okay, it's keeping the phone is not the best way, but so I can get tired at moments. So, okay, so back to why am I here? And you see there behind me, oh, that's lovely mountains and a lovely tree. Yeah, I'm in the middle of the mountains, the Alps, and yeah, that's where I was born, and I spent the first 4 or 5 years of my life here, and then I came back as I was a 13-year-old until I was 18. So I spent a lot of time here, a lot of moments. Well, in a timeline, that's what I perceive as in my memories, that's what I perceive to be. So this place, for this body, for me, is an important place because I was born here. So everything started here. And I choose 2 persons to become my parents. My father still lives here. My mother lives in another town of this area of Switzerland. And they divorced when I was 4 or 5 years old. I don't remember them together. I have some memories of my first years. Well, as you know, memories are the construct of your ego that uses that as a timeline. So that's where time comes from. And there is someone coming, so I will stop this for a moment. So I was saying, time, the memories are what your ego uses to create time. So, as I was saying, I've never seen my parents together. I don't remember that. I have some memories here, but never with them together. My father spent a lot of time away in those years. It didn't happen before, not really, and it didn't happen after. He was stationed in... Oh, sorry. He was stationed in Algeria, working there for some years. For his company. He's always worked for one company, never changed. And so that's probably the reason why I don't have memories of them together. But this is not what I'm getting to, because there is a memory here, a very particular memory that I have talked with Roxanne about, which happened in the apartment where, as I was a child, the first one I've known. Now that apartment is not occupied by our family anymore, so I can access it. But what happened is that as I was a 3-year-old, I was in a room. I don't know if it was my room, probably it was, but I have memories in another room, so I assume that I have changed room. And that memory is that I was in that room, it was night, and suddenly I see a being materializing, a light being, and going through the room. And that's all. But at the same time, I remember it in many ways, because that I remember it as being very quickly. So the being went through the room and disappeared. But then I remember that whilst I went hiding myself in my bed. So that took time. So you see, I don't have really a clear time-based memory, because I know that being was there and I look at him. So it couldn't just pass by. So clearly my memory is a, I will say, constructed memory that is a memory I am able to access to, that I have, but that is a memory that goes through the ego's through the ego, so that the ego rebuild the memory in a way that the ego can understand the memory. Because as I said, the memories are what the ego uses, so that God doesn't have. Just wait a second. So there was an insect, so it was probably a co-creator that wanted to absolutely be on this video. So I was saying, so that the ego creates or remember your memories, but it remembers them through the filter that it creates, so that it's like dreams. Your ego remembers your dreams in a way that it can understand them or filters them. But those are not really your dreams. That's not really what you were doing. It's a filter. Also because when you are sleeping, you're not there. There is nothing. You're sleeping. You are not creating your environment there, just that, so you're not there. As I said, you create what you see, but from the inside. So when you're not there, when you're not seeing it, how can you create it? And you created it in a moment. So, when you are sleeping, you are not there, you are elsewhere, creating something else elsewhere, but you cannot remember it because it's not part of your ego's understanding. So, let me change the spot. Okay, now here I am, and you can see this behind me. The first floor, so just upside the Zurich. There is written Zurich, you see it backwards, but that's where it happened. I don't know exactly the window, but it's one of those windows in the first floor. Okay. So that's the building, and well, I think you have seen there are a lot of there are some Swiss flags. It's because yesterday was the 1st of August, which is the National Day. And there are all over Switzerland celebrations about that day, as well, I think you have in your country when you have a National Day. But anyway, so as you see, it's really an ordinary place, a building, ordinary building where that happened, and that is something that is very relevant to me and very important, because that memory changes a lot in my perceptions. But I will change the spot because I am near the main street, so that everyone is driving here, and so you can see some of it. And actually, when I was born, this, as I said before, there were no highways, so all the traffic that was going through the highway thereafter, when it was built, was passing here. So you, I think with all the traffic that we have nowadays, I cannot even imagine not having the highway, because if everything had to still go through this road, it will just go too much. So let me change the spot again. See you in a moment.